What on earth are you saying, you, housekeeper? My mother-in-law snapped, her words sharp and biting. Excuse me, a housekeeper? I gasped, barely able to process her insult. You can't be serious. Yes, a housekeeper, she repeated, her tone dripping with disdain. You don't contribute much financially, so you make up for it by doing the housework. That's your role here. As if to punctuate her point, my father-in-law chimed in. We'd manage just fine without you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't just criticism, it was outright dismissal. Well, if that's how you feel, maybe I should leave, I replied firmly, trying to keep my voice steady despite the storm of emotions building inside me. My name is Skylar, I'm 31, a wife, and a mother. My husband, Rowan, and I have been married for 2 years. We tied the knot in a whirlwind shotgun wedding after discovering I was pregnant, and we now have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter. Rowan and I had known each other since high school, but it wasn't until we reconnected at a reunion years later that we started dating. When I found out I was expecting, we made the decision to marry. It felt like a natural step, after all. We were both in our late 20s, and parenthood didn't seem out of reach. At first, everything was wonderful. Our home was filled with love and laughter. I took maternity leave to focus on raising our daughter, and Rowan, though busy with work, was a doting father who cherished every moment with her. Life felt complete. Then came the turning point. Rowan suggested we move in with his parents. My mom and dad think it's time we lived with them, he said one evening, almost casually. Wait, what? Why now? They're still pretty independent, aren't they? I asked, surprised. They are, Rowan admitted, but as their eldest son, it's expected. I've been putting it off so we could enjoy our early years together as a family, but now that our daughter's older, I think it's the right time. Plus, my mom can help you with housework. The idea caught me off guard, but the prospect of extra help was tempting. Balancing a part-time job, childcare, and housework was exhausting, and I trusted Rowan's parents to be supportive. So, with some hesitation, I agreed. At first, everything seemed fine. For the first couple of months, my in-laws were polite and even helpful at times, but gradually, their true colors began to show. Skylar, dinner should be ready earlier, my mother-in-law said one evening, her tone implying it wasn't a request. I'm sorry, but I only get home after picking up my daughter from daycare, I explained. Well, if you only work part-time, you should manage your schedule better, she retorted, not bothering to hide her irritation. It's my job, and I began, but she cut me off with a dismissive wave. It's so half-hearted, honestly, it's becoming a nuisance. Her words stung. I worked hard to balance everything, yet nothing I did seemed to be enough. Dinner was usually on the table by 6, which wasn't late by any standard, and besides, she didn't lift a finger to help. My father-in-law wasn't much better. You haven't cleaned the bathroom yet, he barked one evening. I was preparing dinner first, I explained, trying to keep my frustration in check. You're so slow, can't you do anything efficiently? He snapped. That was it. Excuse me? I said, glaring at him, you have no right to call me useless. Their attitude made it painfully clear, moving in with them had been a mistake. He shouted. My in-laws' treatment of me grew harsher by the day, leaving me increasingly confused and hurt. Determined not to let the problem fester, I decided to confront my husband. Rowan, why are your parents treating me so coldly lately? I asked, my voice heavy with frustration. What are you talking about? Isn't this just in your head? He replied, brushing off my concerns. No, it's not, I insisted. They get angry over the smallest things, and it's starting to feel deliberate. Well, maybe they just want you to improve as a wife. There's nothing wrong with that, Rowan said, a faint smile playing on his lips as though it was all a joke. I was stunned. Asking him for support had been a mistake, and at that moment, I realized that marrying him might have been one, too. My feelings for Rowan began to fade as resentment crept in. As the days passed, my in-laws' behavior only worsened. Skylar, give me a massage, my mother-in-law demanded one evening. I'm not done with the dishes yet, I replied, trying to keep my tone polite. Don't talk back, just do it, she snapped. When I finally sat down to give her the massage, the delay in finishing the dishes triggered my father-in-law. The cup I always use hasn't been washed yet, he barked. You're so useless. I bit my tongue to keep from responding. Couldn't he just wash his own cup? Their growing hostility baffled me. Desperate, I asked Rowan to speak to them. He initially resisted, claiming it was too much trouble, but I eventually convinced him. When he returned from the conversation, I asked, "What did they say?" Rowan shrugged. "They said something about part-time workers not having any rights." "What?" I exclaimed, disbelief written across my face. "They don't like that you work part-time instead of full-time," he added nonchalantly. "But you're the one who asked me to work part-time so I could handle the housework and childcare," I fired back. "Did you even tell them that?" "Well, no, it didn't seem relevant at the time," he mumbled, avoiding my gaze. I stared at him in shock. "I can't believe this. I really don't know why I married you." From that moment, I began to wonder if Rowan had emotionally abandoned me long ago. Divorce crossed my mind, but I stayed for my daughter. She deserved to have a father in her life, or so I thought. Then, one day, everything changed. It was a weekend, and I had gone grocery shopping. When I returned home, I found my mother-in-law sitting in the living room with my 3-year-old daughter. What she said next left me utterly speechless. "Oh, if you were a boy, I'd be so much happier," she told my daughter casually. "Why did it have to be a girl? Such a shame." I froze, unable to believe my ears. A wave of anger surged through me. "Mother, what did you just say to my daughter?" I demanded, stepping into the room. She looked startled. "Oh, I didn't realize you were back," she stammered. "Take it back," I said firmly. "Why should I? I meant what I said," she replied, her tone defiant. "What if she remembers this? What if it hurts her for the rest of her life?" I asked, my voice trembling with anger. "She's too young to understand. You're overreacting," she dismissed, waving a hand. That was the final straw. "It's not about whether she understands. It's about what you're teaching her," I said sharply. "I won't allow you to speak to her like that again." "Allow me? Who do you think you are?" she shot back. "I've never harassed you or her." "Pretend ignorance if you like," I said coldly, "but your actions speak for themselves." As the tension thickened, my father-in-law entered the room. "What's with all the noise?" he grumbled. "I can't even read the paper in peace." "She's picking a fight with me," my mother-in-law quickly accused, pointing at me. "What nerve," he muttered, barely sparing me a glance. "She's just a housekeeper, after all." The words stung. "Is that what you think? That I'm just your housekeeper?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "Exactly," he said, his tone dripping with disdain, "and a useless one at that. If you're so unhappy, why don't you leave?" My mother-in-law added with venom, "You trapped our son with that pregnancy just to secure a place for yourself. We don't need you here." I stood tall, looking both of them in the eye. "Say whatever you want," I said, my voice unwavering, "but it's time you faced reality. You can't treat people like this without consequences." For the first time, I felt the power of standing up for myself. I made my decision that very moment. Grabbing my suitcase, I packed what I could for myself and my daughter. Just as I was about to leave, my husband came through the door, still carrying his fishing gear. "Skylar, what's going on? Why do you have such a big suitcase?" he asked, looking bewildered. "I've been fired as a housekeeper," I said flatly, without even glancing at him. What are you talking about?" he stammered, his face turning pale. "I'm done, Rowan. I won't be coming back. Good luck handling everything on your own," I said as I brushed past him and walked out the door. Behind me, my mother-in-law sneered. "Good riddance," she muttered. "At least my son's earnings won't be wasted anymore." Rowan looked like he wanted to stop me but stayed silent. His lack of words confirmed everything I needed to know. I left with my daughter and went straight to my parents' house. The very next day, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. "What do you want now?" I answered, irritation lacing my voice. "Skylar, I'm so sorry for the things I said," she began, her tone uncharacteristically soft. I raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "What's with the sudden change of heart?" "I didn't realize. I didn't know you were contributing so much to the household," she admitted. Ah, Rowan must have finally told her the truth. "I don't see why that matters now," I said coolly. "You made it very clear that I wasn't welcome." "Please, come back," she pleaded. I sighed, feeling the need to set the record straight. "Do you know why I was giving you $1,000 a month from my salary? Because despite working part-time, I'm a nurse, and I earn enough to help cover expenses. Rowan's income barely covers the essentials, and I've been picking up the slack this whole time. But you made me out to be useless. When your son stood by and let you humiliate me, that was the final straw." I won't be coming back. Her voice trembled. Skylar, I didn't let her finish. There's nothing left to say. Goodbye, I said and hung up. That same day, I sent Rowan a message, informing him that all further communication would go through my lawyer. I blocked his number, as well as my in-laws, and began the process of filing for divorce. Through legal proceedings, I secured both child support and alimony for the harassment I endured under his silent approval. Rowan, who had always struggled financially, was now burdened with these payments. His parents, too, faced a harsh reality. Their savings dwindled rapidly as they tried to maintain their lifestyle, and they were forced to rely on my father-in-law's retirement fund. None of it concerned me anymore. They had made their choices, and now they were living with the consequences. As for Rowan, he occasionally brought up his financial struggles during visits with our daughter, but I shut it down immediately. If you keep asking for my help, I'll have to reconsider letting you see her, I warned him. He never brought it up again. Now, I'm back at my parents' home, working hard as a single mother, with my mother helping care for my daughter. I've been able to work nights again, and my income has increased significantly. Life isn't always easy, but every challenge feels worth it when I see my daughter's bright smile. I'm determined to provide her with a happy, secure future, and I'm proud of the life we're building together.